You've recently posted a picture to Facebook, or perhaps you dropped an opinion. You might have decided to share your thoughts on an issue or a topic, and you went back in your notifications, 10 notifications or more, who knows you, but it's blowing up, right? And you go in there and there's all these people, bleh, 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 bitching, moaning, and shooting down your points or otherwise poking at you. Have you tried this? Or they're being, otherwise, sarcastic, unruly, mean even, and you don't know what to do with this. You're like, wow, I guess I'll never post anything again. I have a solution here on the Livingston Education Department, episode 1, where we learn to troll the trolls. Now, follow me on this. There's some psychology involved here and some things you want to know going in, but not only will you be able to spot this behavior and identify it for what it is, but you'll be able to give it right back to him with the 1-2. So, intro time.
The Livingston man, a hero in disguise. His legacy will echo through the skies. Forever remembered for his deeds so grand. The Livingston man, the savior of the land. The Livingston man, a hero in disguise. His legacy will echo through the skies. Forever remembered for his deeds so grand. The Livingston man, the savior of the land.
So, the first thing you need to know about trolling in general is there's one of two reasons probably that people do this, and they're sort of connected to each other. And the one is called Schadenfreude. It's a loan word from German, and it essentially means it is the experience of pleasure, joy, or self-satisfaction that comes from learning of or witnessing the troubles, failures, pain, suffering, or humiliation of another. It has been detected in children as young as 24 months. Now, this can go a couple of different ways. Here's where it starts, right? Things like fail videos or, wow, I almost had it, nailed it videos where you're like, okay, you laugh at somebody. Or it can also mean that there is a rivalry here where you need to overcome an obstacle and then you kick its butt, right? And then you laugh and triumph about it, sort of a just version of it. There's rivalry where you have something to prove to another that matters in such a way. And then there's the justice aspect of Schadenfreude, which I guess the easiest way to describe would be like when the bully finally gets his, and everybody points and laughs, because it's about time, the sort of just version of the Schadenfreude. But at the end of the day, what it involves is taking pleasure in the misfortune or failure of another. There is another aspect of that, and this word is hard to pronounce. So let me see if I can do it. Catagalesticism is a psychological condition now, which is different than Schadenfreude, which is just us laughing at the guy falling off the ladder. This is a psychological condition in which a person excessively enjoys mocking others. Catagalistic. These folks actively seek and establish situations in which they can laugh at others at the expense of these people. Broad range of things that these folks would do, starting from harmless pranks or word plays to truly embarrassing or even harmful, mean-spirited jokes. Now, are we sounding familiar? Talking about trolls here. They would be of the opinion that mocking others is a part of daily life, and if others do not like being laughed at, they should just retort. Well, okay. It is fun mocking others, and there is also almost nothing that might hinder them from doing so. For them, some people might even provoke getting mocked and deserve it. This condition often makes it difficult for sufferers to suffer. I'm not suffering, but for those afflicted to gain and maintain acquaintances and romantic partners. Now, that's what that is. So your basic internet troll is, of course, the archetype is, the basement dwelling neckbeard who has no friends and can't make it with chicks. So this is where we're starting from here. This is fundamentally at the core of it, who you're probably up against here, just that mindset alone. So tactics that trolls will use that you can also point back at. And the one I find the most interesting is sarcasm. I use it practically exclusively, right? I mean, I can't even stop myself from doing it. So what sarcasm is Its definition sounds harsh. It's not always used this way, but sarcasm, I am, by the way, getting all this from Wikipedia. We all know that that's a bastion of truth and should always be believed and accepted as such. See what I did there? Sarcasm is the caustic use of words, often in a humorous way to mock someone or something. It can employ ambivalence, where you don't really feel one way or another about it. Although it is not necessarily ironic. Most noticeable in spoken word, sarcasm is mainly distinguished by the inflection with which it is spoken. I got my hair done. I got my hair done today. Like that. But coming across on the internet in the text version, sarcasm doesn't really come across properly, and even doesn't really cross language barriers either. I've dealt with foreign people who, their first language is not English, where, I said something bitingly sarcastic and they had no reason to think that I didn't mean that, literally. And it was like, well, it is a joke, So it has to be used properly, okay? We're not going to get into the etymology of it because that's weird. Etymology means like where the word came from. It comes from sarcasmos. It's a Greek word, which means to tear flesh, bite the lip in rage, and sneer. We'll get to sneer later because it's a different thing. In its usage, sarcasm does not necessarily involve irony, says lexicographer Henry Watson Fowler, but irony, or the use of expressions conveying different things according as they are interpreted, is so often made the vehicle of sarcasm. Why don't you just go ahead and use all the words, dude? The essence of sarcasm is the intention of giving pain, ironically or otherwise, by bitter words. Now, again, it's not always used this way. Professionals in psychology, however, and related fields have long looked upon sarcasm negatively, particularly noting that sarcasm tends to be a maladaptive coping mechanism for those with unresolved anger or frustrations. I can assure you that that is absolutely not true. These guys know. Hostility disguised as humor, Clifford N. Lazarus calls it. Maybe. Now at least this guy gets it. He suggests that too frequent use of sarcasm tends to overwhelm the emotional flavor of the conversation. Anyway, sarcasm, of course, is a vocal indication. Now, when used properly in the spoken word as I am right now, you understand when I'm being sarcastic because of how I said it. It's often telegraphed with kinesic prosodic cues by speaking more slowly than with a lower pitch. Speaking more slowly with a lower pitch. Similarly, Dutch, however, just only uses the lowered pitch. Sometimes to such an extent that the expression is reduced to a mere mumble. Other research shows, however, that there are many ways that real speakers signal sarcastic intentions. One study found that in Cantonese, Chinese, sarcasm indicated by a fundamental frequency of one's voice. And in fact, they raise it. So you raise it. In Amharic, whichever that is there, rising intonation is used to show sarcasm. Rising intonation is used to show sarcasm. Punctuation, there's a whole bit, this article is bigger than I thought it was, but let's use some examples of sarcasm finally. Examples of sarcasm and irony used together. Irony is a whole nother thing. It's a little hard to understand. My, you're early, when somebody arrives extremely late. See how I sang it? What a fine artist you've become when somebody does something that's like absolutely not that, right? An example of sarcasm without irony. You're really drunk, Livingston, man. Yeah, and tomorrow I'll be sober and you'll still be ugly. An example of irony without sarcasm, of course, would be, oh my God, I'm sorry, guys, I had to take this call. I don't know if we can forgive you for that. Like, well, parents will use that kind of irony and without sarcasm. Oh my God, my arm hurts. Guess we'll have to amputate. And, see how I sang it again? But if you look them dead in the face and say, I guess we'll have to amputate. Now, you see the face I just made? Brings us to the next thing you have to look for, sardonicism. Sardonicism is to be disdainfully or cynically humorous or scornfully mocking. It's a form of wit or humor. Being sardonic involves expressing an uncomfortable truth in a clever and not necessarily malicious way, often with a degree of skepticism. This doesn't particularly the history of this is a little crazy, but basically it means like you kind of get the evil smile on your face where you're like, like, let's get this party started here. Like you're about to say something is gonna like either break the ice or make it fall out from underneath you, but whatever. You're kind of gonna make that evil. You're gonna do the thing. Here I go. Okay, that's sardonicism. That might often be what you do before you go online and troll or counter troll, shall we say. A couple of faces you'll see that trolls make. A sneer. Now, a sneer is a thing that you do when somebody like says something like really like profoundly ignorant or stupid, and you do this like, like the one side comes up, and in its most extreme form, like you might even like do this, like you're just taken aback by the stupidity of the situation. This is when you make this face is the trigger for you to begin to troll. You're like, you got to be kidding me. You're like, you're kind of disgusted at the level of ignorance being displayed here. Okay, now I'm going to go in here and do this. So, aside from the sneer, there is, of course, the smirk. It's an ingratiating smile, but it's meant to evoke insolence, scorn, or offensive smugness. It is the facial expression of bless your heart. Okay, like so you believe that? Okay, do tell. It's a look of like a vast intellectual superiority. Please explain your theory to me, peasant. It's a, where does this come from? A mock with a scornful countenance as in some smiling sort looking aside. Like you're like, okay, I gotta hear this. Here it goes. And like, oh, you're an idiot. I know better. I can outwit you and I control you is what smirk means. So now that we know the basic tenets here, did I leave any out? I don't think I did. Remember them, and you can always go back to Wikipedia and type in these words that I said, and I'll put them on the screen when I finally edit the video. You'll see, they'll be like right here. So the attitude now, as a seasoned troll myself, I know that the idea is not really to make sense or to really prove a point. The idea is to knock your opponent off their balance, to take the initiative and forward the momentum through the conversation, like martial arts sort of. You want to be able to control the situation and their responses to it. A real easy way to drop an icebreaker, like you want to go in there and you want to say something, and an easy way to really catch somebody off guard is, had a really great time with the ladies at the bar tonight. Oh my God, slay queens. We have to do it again sometime. And what you do is you write in a comment, no, you didn't. Sorry. You didn't. This throws people right off because they're like, the first thing they do is question themselves. Like, wait a second. Yes, I did. Now you got them. Start railing them in. And then what you can either do is simply drive home the fact, right? That like you personally refuse to believe what they're saying. This really gets under people's skin because they really just don't understand why you're being like this. But you don't want to knock them out of the park too soon. A 2-3 comment troll thread, you didn't even do it right. What you want is to get this person so infuriated that they will continue like da-ding, 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 like they just keep it going and it's them. And what you're doing is sitting back smirking. And they're sneering and getting crazy. And you're smirking, right? Do you see what we're doing here? Because a little bit of Schadenfreude in you is now being stimulated. You're like, this is now funny. I'm laughing at this person getting all worked up because I simply said, no, you didn't. And you can translate that into any sort of context you really need it. No, you wouldn't. Let's see. No, you didn't. No, you can't. No, they didn't. Or conversely, you can use the opposite. I would never eat pickles on a cheeseburger. Yes, you would. See, not only did I sneer, but then smirked. And it's a little bit of sarcasm if you depend on the relationship of the person. Can they understand that you're being like this or not? And if they don't, which is, of course, you don't troll your friends, you don't troll people who know you. So, you didn't. And say this with such conviction that they're offended that you don't believe their truth. They know they did it, but here's this guy, I didn't mean up, but challenge them to cite sources, make them post pictures, like just make it their personal quest to prove to you that they did the thing you refuse to believe they didn't do. I hope this makes sense to you. I know I am always very concise and to the point, so I don't understand why you wouldn't understand what I'm saying here already. But in case you don't, like I said, just try it one time, like poke a little fun at somebody. No, you didn't. You might be surprised at the hostility that comes out all of a sudden. They come out raging. You can also use sarcasm to simply mock a person's belief or statement. Like, way this can be expressed on the internet is when you alternate capital and uppercase and lowercase letters. Is, you know, or you use the SpongeBob meme where he simply repeats what they said but in a condescending manner. That's easy enough to do too, but you'll often lose engagement if you do that because it's obvious what you're doing. So I wouldn't really recommend it unless you're trying to make a point of your own. Maybe that's your caption on your Facebook post or what have you. Another thing you can't let happen is someone to troll you back. You have to control your emotions very well. You're not the one who's supposed to be getting angry and offended here. The other person is. And so you have to remember that they might actually be able to come back and like say something, because the first thing they're going to say to you is basement dwelling neckbeard, or how about do your research? And you're like, no. And another thing that they just refuse whatever like they put at you, just refuse it in all its forms. You are not doing that. You are not believing that. You're not reading that. The best thing is, another one you can do is, if you can be so lucky, is to get them to type out like a 37-page like rebuttal, and then you just, I'm not reading all that. And don't read it, because you don't want to come to their side. You do not want your position to be changed at all. You're not here for that. You're here to change positions. All right. We draw lines. We don't walk on them. We draw them and then we cross them back and forth, because it doesn't matter. How can you believe that? The truth is, I don't, but I want you to think I do. And the idea is simply to enrage the other person to the point of they quit or delete the post, or the very best outcome is they make a video where they address the haters and trolls and continue to prove that they did this thing that we enlightened trolls know in our minds they didn't do and can't be changed in our attitude toward that. You have to keep your wits about you. When you're out there, they will try to trip you up. They will question, they'll pull circular logic where, you know, I like oranges just fine. No, you don't. I so love oranges. I hate oranges. Oh, but why would you hate oranges? No, you're not asking the questions here. I am. And I still need you to prove exactly why you would possibly love oranges. And just keep it going. Like, and just keep throwing little hooks out there, but don't be too malicious, or once again, they'll realize what you're doing. You don't want to be mean or malicious, or they'll just be like, wow, you're mean. And they'll just log off, or they'll block you or something like this. You want to create the illusion that you generally want to understand, even though that is absolutely the farthest thing from the actual mission here. So, to recap, you really have to kind of step outside of yourself, and you have to employ absolute sarcasm. You have to say things that you yourself don't even believe, but with a straight face. On the internet, it is again hard to bring across either the smirk or the sneer, but you can inflect it through the use of words properly. When someone posts something, you know, like I have cooking videos, you know, I like to use a lot of cheese in the in the recipe. And then of course, like, you see some, I also enjoy like eating 27 pounds of cheese for breakfast, and who doesn't? That will usually, it's mildly sarcastic and will be taken as humor. But instead, you could just simply say, no, you didn't. What do you mean? I mean, clearly the evidence is right there that I put 27 pounds of cheese in the thing. And you're like, and that's the problem. And see, another thing a troll should never do is elaborate. You want to imply that you have like an issue with what is being expressed here, but never actually say what that issue is. Like, I don't know what you're trying to say here. Yes, you do. You can just go ahead and do this all day. No, you didn't. Yes, you do. All day long is, and the reason and why Livingston, man, would I want to do this? Like I said, two reasons really. One is you should wake the hell up with that coffee I'm drinking right there. To counter actual trolls, if you armed now with this knowledge, you will be in a much better position to recognize it when you see it and engage them. Flip it back on them. They're up against one now too. Trolls don't really like to fight other trolls because there's nothing to be gained, because neither of them can win. They know it. Two is when you're just, you know what? You're in a mood and you're like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. So you get that sardonicism out, ratchet up your smirk and your sneer, and you go out there and you're like, I'm just going to give it to them for free and for fun. Why not? It's not really against the law as long as you're not being an absolute cyberbully, which I am not recommending. What you're doing is playing a psychological game against an unprepared adversary, and it can be fun. Why you would find that fun would make you a catagelisticism person there. That's a tough one. I'm going to drop the whole link for that on the video because that word's just hard to say, but you have a pathological condition that makes you laugh at others' misfortune and failings. Maybe we all got a little bit of that in us. But of course, if we don't have that, we have the schadenfreude, which is where we're going to laugh at the guy who fell off the ladder, especially if we all seen it coming and he should have too. You get laughed at for that, right? Of course, they said it. You believe it. You deserve the mockery, and so you got it. We all do it time to time. Now, I would bet that, of course, but men probably do this more often because this boils down to like job site banter and even like locker room talking. What's going on, dickhead? Yeah, look at this guy. Look who they look. Even the old guys down at the store. Oh man, they let you out. Oh man, they let anybody come in here. There's friendly joshing is where it kind of starts. But if you practice, you can be a next level troll. No worries about it. It takes practice. It takes mental fortitude because once you become this character, you have to stay this character. And the easiest thing to do, of course, is troll strangers in comment threads that you don't know because you remove any emotional attachment. You're not like, I really shouldn't. With your friends, I really shouldn't say that. Don't take that the wrong way. With strangers, let them have it. Blow it out your ass, you commie liberal. And it's just that easy. And and just keep it going. And these people, because they don't know you either, are more likely to respond with a more vitriolic comment and escalate the confrontation. And that's what we want. Now it's sardonic. Do you see how all these 5 S's work together? We have sarcasm, sardonicism, schadenfreude, the smirk, and the sneer. Essential troll tools. And I thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed this premium content brought to you for free by the Pabst Blue Ribbon Water Company with promotional consideration provided by me by the Wake the Hell Up coffee. It's good stuff. No sarcasm there. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps you in your internet travels out there. That road, that information highway, that's got a lot of potholes and a lot of dickhead drivers on it. And I hope that this little guide will help you better to navigate from place to place amongst all of this. And remember, don't take any crap from these swine out here. If they want to give it to you, you give it back. Don't be a coward. Don't back down from a troll. That's what they want. It's how they win. Never give up. never surrender until they rage quit and never log on again. Till next time, Livingston Education Department, Episode 1. Thank you for watching.